Well, here we are back in Mittenrahm once again, down at Morel, the Witch Wylde. Specifically, this area is going to be called Witch Haven. The Wylde is going to be part of the hills, part of the forest, and this swamp. As far as this goes, this stonework here, which is going to become a shield wall. I think I mentioned that last week. I'm doing this video now because the part of the challenge for building something for Halloween was really just this piece, and that's pretty much finished. And I want to put that in a video before we move into November. So from this point I'm going to be going back to 2-week periods between each video. It's only a diary after all. I don't really need to be showing you everything I'm doing every single week. So there's been a little bit of tweaking. It was mostly done by the end of last week, in fairness. I've removed the beech stripped wood. I tried various colors to represent the very lightest part that you can see on the pumpkins. These bits, there's not a lot of options. It was just too different from the orange. I couldn't find any, there's nothing that's close enough to being orange. So I swapped out all of the concrete orange powder for the orange wool, and then put the orange powder where the birch wood had been. Except for that one. It's a little different now. It's obviously a much brighter, darker orange. Solid looking than the actual game pumpkin, which is unfortunate, but there's not really much I can do about it. I spent some time filling with the legs. I'm not super happy, it has to be said. That looks kind of weird, actually. I don't know if it's just the plant that's blocking it off oddly. I've tried to thicken the legs anyway to make them look a little bit more bulkier, given the size of the hut. The hut could have probably been doing with being just a tad bit smaller. The original design for the hut was somebody else's work that I've borrowed, but it was much wider, and obviously had to shrink it. But yeah, I'm fairly happy with the final result, the colour usage and so on. It is actually decorated inside. Don't usually go in for this, but you know, it's fairly straightforward. Just needed a bed and some bits and pieces that look like they would belong in the witch's hut. And you know, that was really it. Could probably do with hanging some things from the ceiling, but I'm not really sure what. This is Old Mother Morgan, and that's named after the person who built the original hut. It's unlikely anybody watching this is going to know who I'm talking about. Yeah, well, that was a pointless ladder to put in place. But if we go back here, there's another little nod to the owner of the original designer anyway. A ravage called Gertrude. But yeah, put in more water in general, moving away from... Oh, actually, sorry, before we carry on. The tree has had a little bit of tweaking. Trying to finalise the beard. Putting in a little extra on the growth. I stripped some of it away, actually, to make it a little bit more sparse on one of the main hands, and then just leaving these tufts on the surviving back branch. It does look a little bit flat here, has to be said. Well, I'm overall happy with it. The mud bricks didn't work out very well here. I've used them elsewhere attached to a tree, but they didn't stand out like this. I'm not really sure what's up with that, but the alternative is to trade them in for fence posts, and the fence posts tend to look very thin, so I haven't bothered. But I've done a few more trees, added a little bit more down here. I'm not sure if these bushes were present, but I've added berries, fallen trees, which is obviously not very Minecrafty. Just trying to fill in the space a little bit, so it's not just open flat pieces of land. And then obviously you can see several more to go. And these ones without glowstone represent shorter trees that are going to go in place. Once this is all done, I will determine whether I want to include more. And these two are perfectly placed for something I have in mind, but I'm not really sure if I'm going to use it. Certainly not back there. What I have in mind, which I'm purposely not going to tell you about, should really be a little bit more central to the rest of the builds. So, the mushrooms have been given a makeover. I got rid of all of the bone in favour of nether quartz because it has a more visible texture. This is a mushroom stem, and these obviously basalt variations to create. I don't know, I've just got this thing in my head that I always imagine mushrooms as having very dark, dirty bases that the white stem is growing out of. I have no idea where I picked that up from. I recoloured the tops. The red terracotta is a little too dull, I think, and at the very least I could have done with just swapping it to the red concrete. I'm not super pleased or happy with the final result of the pseudo texturing, but you know, there are limits, obviously, always in Minecraft. I think I was drawn into making the change because I did tweak these mushrooms, and they look kind of nice on the smaller scale. I think it's maybe the big scale is where it's maybe going wrong, because it's like, well, where does the darker parts go? I mean, you know, I've done that wrong. Huh, it's funny. It should be that. Oh no, it's the... Okay, it looks like I may have put in one too many. Huh. I might have to look at another picture from the past to see what that was supposed to look like. There's another piece missing there. I wonder if I tweak this a bit to make it look less round. It could do with having it done anyway. This is like super symmetrical nearly. Yeah. Could do with being tweaked a little bit. But yeah, not too bad. The last few patches that need to be changed, I predominantly stuck with the red concrete. And it's unfortunately given this little line which could really do with breaking. Yeah, I suppose. Let's see, let me talked about that last week. This has undergone some tweaks, and I put it up yesterday. Originally it was only 2x2 and only came up out here. I extended it and then decided to make it thicker. decided it needed to look a little bit less thick without actually being less than 3 by 3. And there is a weld in the middle. There's no ladder yet, but I'm planning on it because, as you've probably seen, there is a top. When I start to modify the top a little bit more, I start to see the bell shape mushrooms that you can see, and then I decided to turn the upper part into an actual living space. Now I could convert this back to being mushroom. Well, I say convert, I never actually built it, but maybe it will work better if it's just mushroom rather than attempt to put a building on top of it. I don't know yet. I'll be working on it today, obviously. I'll probably start with a few extra trees, and then we'll put the bridge in to get over to what is hopefully going to be another dwelling. And then this ravine has had some modifications done. Mostly just the water added and some decoration. While exploring, I discovered that there's actually not just this one ravine here, but just a short trip down a short piece of mine shaft brings you to another ravine, which then spills into another ravine. So there's 4 very close by. That's a lot of work to incorporate them all for no real good reason. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that yet. But that's pretty much what I've been doing. I may need to get rid of some of these bamboo, especially this bit. It just looks like a row of them. It's kind of weird. And one thing I learned though, doing the reef and other similar things, is that patterns are only significant to us. I knew that anyway. I read about the statistics and such things before. But it's the idea that people can't see past the idea that the computer can generate patterns while being random. And then when we see the pattern, we're like, oh, that's a pattern, I need to get rid of it because I need it to look random. But it's like, no, the pattern is random. And it happens all the time in Minecraft, but we don't pay attention to it because we just think about the fact that the game is random. But it's like, how random is it really? See? I mean, this is how I end up building half of the things that I build. To see something that is a part of a pattern at least, and I use it as the foundation for something. I know it looks worse on the small scale when you see a very small pattern and you're trying to alternate and really change things up, but you know, it is what it is. But I'm starting to ramble, so I shall say adieu and beat my head against the wall.